So I wrote this the other day, and I just wanted to tell you a little story, and it's very, very personal, so here it goes. My first really memory of the West End is that of a walk I took through it about 13 years ago in search of an apartment. I was told that the good buildings don't need to advertise, so I would need to do the legwork of walking the blocks in search of signs on lawns, or merely getting on the wait list of buildings I liked. I went out after work one day with photocopies of letters to the manager, another suggestion from a friend, that I could leave behind so they would remember me. I think I talked to a couple of managers, but as the evening approached and my energy lessened, I thought, one more block. And that's when I walked from Chilco towards Denman along Harrow. I saw a big building with an inviting front courtyard garden, as well as a woman I recognized in front of it. We quickly established that I was the daughter of one of her clients at the photo store she worked at, and I remember her from my visits there with my mother. I left her my introduction letter and went back to the house I shared off Commercial Drive. Though I'm admittedly a bit of a neighborhood snob, I did like living off Commercial Drive. But after a couple of years of rotating roommates, chore sharing lists, commuting east, I was bent on living alone downtown. But not the real downtown, the nice part. 3 months later, I moved into this minuscule apartment overlooking that courtyard. And never again was I ever really alone. And this is my prop that I'll show you. Well, I'm going to put it down now, but that was for my, in 2003, for my graduation project for my design degree at Emily Carr. I designed a book which I called Topus, Neighborhood, City Self. Here it is. I don't remember exactly how I came to this title of Topus, except that I knew that Topus came from the Greek word meaning place. It seemed to sum up what I was working on. It was essentially an artsy/design study of my neighborhood, and a very non-scientific kind of macro to micro study of the streets, my friends, myself, and why we live here. There are parts where I mapped paths between places we have lived in the world, as well as their day-to-day paths to the neighborhood. There are interviews with only the answers and not the questions shown. There were photographs of parts of landscapes like they're taken from someone looking slightly down. Very designy, artsy. But really the bulk of that project had to do with kinds of paths, ones we take every day, over the years, physically and in a way metaphorically. So it had to do with everyday banal choices, as well as the more profound choices of why we chose one place over another. Excuse me while I flip the page. I loved working on that project, and though there are the expected naive and oddly designed aspects to it, I still feel very connected and proud of that work that I did. When I first started talking to Megan Sheldon, the curator of this event tonight, about the theme of home, I kept thinking back to Topus, and specifically about the path studies I did. I still think about paths a lot these days. Every time I leave our apartment, my path is dictated by the very specific desires of my 2-year-old son. Like most toddlers, he is energetic and stubborn, but above all, he is curious and he wants to explore. What used to be a 10-minute walk anywhere, the coffee shop, the bank, the grocery store, can now take 45 minutes, an hour and a half, if I'm feeling really nice. And since it now entails many stops in search of, say, the neighborhood cats, sticks, basically anything on the ground, and especially this time of year, newly blossomed flowers, ants, and bug sightings. And then, of course, there are the stops for the numerous conversations we have with other neighbors, other mamas, and random passerbyers. So I think about the paths we take, him and I. They have changed since I was that single girl getting home from work, then to school, then to work again, to the shops, and to home again. And they've changed since my boyfriend moved in, and we wander on the weekends, shopping, sitting, drinking for hours, and eating and talking. Not something we do anymore. And they've changed since we've inherited a little white dog who, like myself, likes to walk in the park for hours. And they've changed again in the time it's taken for our son to grow from a baby when we walk him in the carrier to the beach to sit on a bench, and as he got older in a stroller so we could just get out of the house or he could take a nap. And the ones we will take will change again as he grows older and has different needs and interests. So I think about the paths we take because they're always new and therefore, even within the perimeter of a couple square blocks or the distance between here and there, they're always a bit of an adventure. These paths have been my experience of here, and they, as the rooms that I've lived in, have become an extension of my experience, and therefore my sense of place. And besides being with the people whom I love,